back again. So I just wrapped up the Dr. Shrinker video. I'm making the most of my vacation. This is the tail end of that shit. As I've mentioned before, I work overnights, so I'm kind of readjusting my sleep schedule, staying up late, having a couple of beverages, maybe imbibing slightly, you know, responsibly. But I listened to what you folks had to say. I'm going to start doing collection videos, A to Z, through my LPs. I figure if I want to talk about rando shit through my CD or tape collections, I've got plenty of that. But I'm pretty hyped, actually. I'm gonna start talking at you about my LPs, my record collection, my LP collection, A to Z. So thanks for the suggestions. Overwhelming majority, surprisingly, which is cool because I had like a whole thing rigged in my head of this weird dartboard system and like a bunch of editing stuff, and it just would have been more of a pain in the ass. And I think this is a better way to go through it. So I'm going to start in the numbers and go into A here. I'm not going to completely skip over obvious shit, but I'm not going to talk about it much if it's some shit that everybody's heard of or stuff that I've already talked about. I'm going to completely just throw my double dipping rule out of the fucking window on this. I'm going to adjust this a little bit here. There we go. New angle. New thing. So stuff that I've talked about extensively before and stuff that, you know who AC/DC is, for example. I'm just going to kind of mention it, but let's get into it. Like a lot of people in a lot of record stores, I kind of have the numeric stuff first. So first off, we got Wonderful World of the Foreskins. This is a best of with a bunch of random recordings from singles and fucking comps and all kinds of shit. If you don't know, this is one of the best fucking oi bands from the early 80s in Britain. The best vocalist being, of course, Hodges. Heavy influence on Negative Approach, but it's got all the hits. One Law for Them, ACAB, Evil, which was, according to, what's his name, Hoxton Tom, heavily influenced by Motorhead. You can tell it's almost like a proto-hardcore kind of song. Plastic Gangsters, which is pretty much like a ska song. Just great, gruff, street-level, fucking simplistic punk from the UK. Scary dudes, scary subject matter. It's all about fucking street life and violence. Check that shit out. Definitely one of the first bands in the oi genre to check out if you want to get into that stuff. Metal folks that might be unacquainted. And next up, we got Four Walls Falling, Culture Shock here on a very early Jade Tree release. Used to see this band all the time back in the day. They were on that Death Records comp I mentioned just recently, my Seattle video. Black Labels. Really cool, early 90s, fast, positive hardcore. Inspired a lot by Youth of Today, but better in my opinion, kinda. Political stuff. I believe they were from Richmond. Might have been from DC, but I saw these guys like 4 or 5 times when I started going to shows in Syracuse, I think, and they always brought the fucking house down. 45 Grave, Autopsy. LA, Death Rock. Death Rock with some hardcore punk in there. Awesome fucking vocals from Ms. Cancer. Those of you that are into horror movies, you might remember Return of the Living Dead, the one with all the punks, the zombie movie with punks in it. There's a part where Trash jumps up on the tombstones and starts stripping. And I believe that's when Party Time plays in the movie. I haven't seen it in a while. It might have been another scene. Party Time's kind of like a cock rock song. A lot of their stuff is faster and kind of more along the lines of TSOL and that kind of stuff, but it's also very rooted in a lot of goth, surf bat, fucking awesome, like instrumental monsters, like surf kind of song. Some slower, weirder songs like Wax. Yeah, just a really cool, interesting band. great part of the LA scene that kind of bridged the gap between hardcore punk and death rock at the time. Looks like we're in the A's, Abattoir, California speed metal classic. Fucking shredding, ripping stuff. Clean vocals for the most part. They cover Ace of Spades on here. Might have been the first band to cover Ace of Spades. This is very early 80s. It's a Combat pressing. What did this come out on? You guys know how I do. I don't talk about labels. I forget about shit. I know a bunch of 45 Grave shit. This came out on Restless. This is center labels for you. I had a 45 Grave compilation on Cleopatra that was terrible. It had mostly like demo recordings that were unlistenable. Took me forever to track down that tape. Or that record, rather. Vicious Attack by Abattoir, however, came out in Combat. Printed inner sleeves. Classic green Combat label. I usually don't nerd out so heavily about stuff like this, but I don't know why. It's just a simple, green color, but I like the green center labels more than I like the camo ones, actually. Yeah, Abattoir, I haven't listened to this in a long time. A lot of these I haven't listened to in a while, but shit's really good. I remember being disappointed by the second record, but Vicious Attack is pretty appropriately vicious. Abhor, Upheaval of Blasphemy. Early black metal from Singapore. Nothing quite says evil like Doggy Style from a demon on fucking Pentagram. Raw, chaotic stuff. Came out on Hell's Headbangers. Pretty cool black on clear splattered vinyl. Nothing really sticks out in my memory about this, but I haven't listened to it in a long time. Certainly low fidelity. The Abused. Loud and Clear. This is a reissue with a Loud and Clear 7-inch on one side and their demo on the other. This came out on Radio Raheem. Jason's talked about Radio Raheem a bunch. Jason from Get Into It with Jason Hook. Their reissues are so fucking nice. Nice gatefold. Just black vinyl. Came with a bunch of stickers. I'm all about using the extras that come in your records. You can see there's a bunch missing. A few ended up on my record player that I don't use anymore, and some on my guitar. I believe it also came with a pin. And this great booklet. The singer Kevin Crowley did all the flyer art for the band that involved this really intense, stippling. Really fucking cool. Lots of, scary, muscular, skins and stuff. Everybody in the scene was, tiny and skinny at that time, except for a few guys. They were all fucking scary, tough dudes in early New York hardcore, though. This one with squeezing E.T.'s neck. Just great shit. Great history of the band. Excellent products. Abused and Agnostic Front. Abused was the first, at least one of the first, the only really prevalent straight edge band in the early 80s in New York. I mean, obviously later Judge and all that stuff happened and all the Youth Crew stuff, but the Abused were the few and the proud back then, and held it down for that particular life philosophy. God bless them. Really cool. Radio Raheem. Excellent label. Abysmal. This is mid-2000s death metal band. Pretty simplistic and crushing from what I remember. 2 demos on 1 LP. The whole reason I picked this up was because I wanted to hear a death metal version of Jesus Entering from the Rear by the Feederz. which is the Feederz were from Colorado, super obnoxious, bratty punk. And this was not a lot of money, like under $10 from some distro, and I was like, you're a death metal version of Jesus entering through the rear. Why the fuck not? I'll put a link down. Hopefully of both, if I can find them. Except Balls to the Wall. You should know this if you like metal. I don't even know what label this is. Portrait Records, everybody. Printed inner sleeve. No shirts given, except for Udo. He's got his camo and his braces. The balls. Fucking great stuff. I mean, Restless and Wild rules. This is a bit more cohesive. This is the one they're known for. If you're of my generation, you remember probably seeing the music video with the crowd of people headbanging a building down. But yeah, great adrenaline-fueled fucking heavy metal. You should know it from Germany. Fucking awesome stuff. And we got a bunch of AC/DC records. I don't need to talk about these too much. It's fucking AC/DC. One of the first records I ever owned. Partied on to complete destruction. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. This is not playable. I kept it like expressly just for sentimental value. There's masking tape stuck on it from when I hung it up on my wall. Bon Scott shit. I think all I have is Bon Scott stuff. If you want blood, you got it. On Atlantic. I was always attracted to this cover art. This might be the first gory record cover that I had. So ridiculous. I had the t-shirt in 7th grade and thought I was a badass because it had a dude getting impaled on it. But, I mean, the live version of A Whole Lot of Rosie's worth the price of admission, you know? Rock and Roll Damnation. You know, if you're going to have, like, one Bon Scott record, you know, Bon Scott era AC/DC record, it might as well be this one, because live, they fucking kill it on this. The recording's great. It's got some of their best songs. And I got Let There Be Rock here. Bad Boy Boogie. Problem Child. Problem Child's a fucking ripper. That's one of my favorites. One of those 1970s rock and roll songs that's almost punk. Now it's time to go into Accüsed territory. By the way, I don't arrange my records like roughly alphabetically, but not chronologically at all, so I'm just pulling them off the shelf. The Accused, Martha Splatterhead's Maddest Stories Ever Told. Came out on Combat as well. Let's see what the center label looks like. I think it's camo. Printed inner sleeve has seen better days. Record's sliding out. Oh yeah. Urban camo. With custom center label on the other side. Martha reading her stories. This is the third Accused record. This is when they got a lot more, not really cohesive because the songs are kind of weird and all over the place, but very tight. Guitar tone got denser, probably more tracking on the guitars. Don't know the Accused, or you're new to my channel, they're one of my favorite bands. Demented, shrieking, strangulated fucking vocals from Blaine, the vocalist. Thrash metal, but with a big spirit of punk behind it. That live shot's fucking great. I think those are Three Stooges board shorts Blaine's wearing right there. Yeah, just destroying, shredding fucking thrash metal crossover. A lot of hardcore punk spirit in there. This is a repress of The Return of Martha Splatterhead. I believe this is the original Subcore art. There's like three or four different covers for this. It was on Subcore, it was on Combat, and it was on Earache. Different versions. This is a lot looser and sloppier and crazier. A friend of mine once commented that it sounded like something off of an early Discord's release, like something off The Year in 7 Inches, but if they were a speed metal band. I think that's like relatively apt. Just black vinyl with red center labels. This completely fucking blew my mind the first time I heard it, and I was completely in love with it. Equal parts Discharge, Kill 'Em All, you know, Misfits influence lyrically only. Maybe some Earth AD in there. I don't know, man. Fucking the Accüsed fucking rule. There's that. This is the same record, but this is the combat version with much more metal, you know, kind of cover painting there. Don't know who the original artist is. Looks like his name is Grim. Let's check the labels there. Again, I've had these for so long. Both Meta Stories Ever Told and Return of Martha Splatterhead I got in Rochester, New York when I lived there. Camo center labels. I got there when I was living there, going to school in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s, from a place called Record Archive. At that point, nobody gave a shit about stuff like this, thrash metal and shit like that. I got these all for like $5 or $6. They go for considerably more on eBay and Discogs now. I don't think they go for an insane amount. They're probably like $30 to $40. But yeah, same record. Fucking great though. Yeah, half released on Subcore, which was their label. The Accüsed were from Seattle, by the way. More fun than an open casket funeral. Return was their first. This is their second, so I'm kind of going in a completely out of order here. It's like Mad Magazine art there. Another fucking great live shot on the back. Got some serious tights there. I'm just going to keep talking until about a half an hour. If you happen to know anything about X-rays, you can see those are some serious shattered tid fibs there. Thrash collage. Music is tightened up a bit, less sloppy and punky than the first one. There's a little bit more palm muting. Recording is suitably raw, but you know, decent sounding. Everything's clear in the mix. Camo labels. Great center label on the other side. I love this band because they involved social commentary and fucking humor. You know, one song would be about like unity, and the other song would be about, you know, they have a song about running people over in a car, splatter rock, Lifeless Zone. You know, I feel like a lot of bands from the retro thrash era, especially Municipal Waste, kind of tried to recreate that magic, but it didn't really quite translate into a modern context. Bake tapes, this is just a collection of like demo recordings and one-offs and other stuff. It's good. You know, if you're an Accüsed completist, this is pretty good. All that stuff was on Combat. This is on Unrest Records. There's another Martha on the back there. I think this is just on black vinyl. Oh, no, it's not. This is gray splatter. Live shots for center label, and on the other side, it's just logo. But yeah, I love me some Accüsed, obviously. Not even done. Still going. Like for this to go back in the inner sleeve. There we go. Oh, by the way, before I continue with this, I talked about this on that Seattle Scores thing. We are listening to Paradise Lost, Medusa. This is track 4 that we're on now, The Longest Winter, and like I was saying, this reminds me of fucking Typo Negative, like in a good way. This is one of the later records from their first run, Straight Razor. This came out on Nasty Mix, which was fucking Sir Mix-a-Lot's label. This they got like a lot more clean sounding, a lot more like production got a bit more sterile. Everything got a lot more airtight. It's still really good. The vocals are still shredding. The only one I don't have on vinyl, actually I don't own it on any format anymore. I was not that much of a fan back in the day. It was Splatter Rock. Splatter Rock is incredibly heavy, but sort of overproduced from what I remember, but I need to fucking re-buy it. This was their comeback record, Oh Martha. Also on Unrest Records. I think also the Accüsed helped put it out themselves. And this is awesome. This is a great return to form. Tons of songs on it. You know, short, sharp shock with it. It's a printed inner sleeve. Fucking cool art. All the lyrics there. Kind of combine the best parts of their really frenetic, crazy, just crazed, maniacal early stuff with the tightness of their records that came after it. This is a great album. We're finally out of Accüsed territory here. 20 minutes in. Acid Witch Stoned. This, I mean, I can't help but give a little golf clap to the packaging and the bells and whistles in this. Came out on Hell's Headbangers Records, I want to say somewhere between 2010 and 2013. Somewhere in there. Really cool doom metal with guttural death metal kind of vocals and spooky like Hammond organs. Stonery riffs here and there. I know that, I can't remember his name, but one of the guys from Hooded Menace is involved. They're Finnish. Halloween themed. Cool poster. That great, I'll show it again, that great like Halloween decoration. Looks like it's something you'd buy at a CVS in hell. Fucking rad. I know Travis, Lyrici, is a big fan of these guys, and that means that he likes some good shit. This is a fucking awesome record. Their other one, who the name escapes me right now, is also really good, but I didn't like it as much. I need to probably revisit it. Stoned by Acid Witch on HHR. Again, sometimes my alphabetization is not the best. This is Acid. It should have been before. Third album, Engine Beast. They slow things down a little bit on this. For people not in the know. Heavy metal from Belgium, early 80s, female singer, pretty ripping. Kind of in the Tank Motorhead realm of things, were a little bit heavier, you know, beginnings of speed metal kind of stuff. This is great. This is an original pressing, 1985 on Giant. It looks like the name of the label is. Red center labels. Fucking great band. The first 3 albums are fucking crucial. Then we got Adolescents, self-titled The Blue record. This is one of the many represses. The good thing about Frontier Records, which was a great classic California punk label, put out like First Suicidal Tendencies amongst many other things, Circle Jerks, is they keep stuff in print really frequently. This originally came out in 1981. Fucking Rick Agnew. It was a great solo record. Just, you know, pissed hardcore punk from California, which means there's a good sense of melody about it. Riffs and choruses and melodies you'll be humming for days. Came from a very fucking violent scene. I feel like a lot of people don't make the Christian Death connection with Rick Agnew, but he was definitely on Only Theater of Pain, as well as a bunch of other releases. The Wacky Hijinks of Adrenaline OD. I feel like a lot of metal fans only know of this because of that Feederz video where he's blasting Rock and Roll Gas Station with that interviewer. But this is New Jersey hardcore. Hyper fast, silly, pissed off, but funny as hell. AOD versus Godzilla. All the songs are goofy. Corporate Disneyland, Trans Am, World War IV. Yeah, great stuff. And I'll give it to Feederz. Rock and Roll Gas Station's a fucking awesome song. Guy has a good taste in music. Middle-aged horror. Second song on side B here, you can see is recorded in our underwear. But I feel like there was a big rift between, maybe not scene-wise or people getting along, but between the New Jersey bands and some of the bands in New York. A lot more lighthearted stuff in Jersey, probably environmentally related. Speaking of New York, time to get into AF. All right. This is the first Agnostic Front, Victim in Pain. This is when it got re-released on Combat Core, the hardcore little subsidiary sub-label of Combat Records. This originally came out on Rat Cage Records and had a pretty intense World War II dumping of bodies scene on the front cover. This has got that great embossed all black thing going on. Printed inner sleeves. Camo label. If you don't know how important this fucking record is within the realm of hardcore, especially New York hardcore, you should check it out if you're interested. You know, the riffs are so easy to play. I know because I have absolutely no skill on guitar and I can play a bunch of them, but just the knack that Stigma had for catchiness. There was a lot of stuff going on in hardcore at the time, like DRI and Crucifix and all these other bands, and I feel like Agnostic Front kind of took all that, inspired by that and like Negative Approach, and just had this really, really like gold star like songwriting quality on it. Anthems, Hiding Inside, Fascist Attitude, Society Sucker, Your Mistake, Roger on the Back. I mean, this is straight up from the fucking streets. A very desperate time in New York City. Read Roger's book. You're interested. Try to do these chronologically, they're totally out of order. Cause for Alarm. That's the second one. One of my favorites. It's when they went metal. It's a divisive record. A lot of people don't like it. Definitely bears a lot of similarities to like Exodus, I feel like. Not vocally, but the guitar riffs, maybe like the first Megadeth record, mixed with that great New York hardcore fucking intensity. Their first record kind of has their influence on it as well. They actually redo Your Mistake on it, more speed metal style. Great Sean Taggart art, I've talked about that before. A lot of lineup changes. They had a couple of different members switch out, I think, on this. This also came out in Combat. You got the camo center labels. Fucking awesome record. I don't give a fuck. I fucking love this record. Then we've got Liberty and Justice for... Sorry. This is kind of like them solidifying things between the first two. It's very tight and heavy and metallic, but it's starting to turn into something new. It's not them doing speed metal, it's them evolving Agnostic Front into another beast. Covered Crucified by Iron Cross on this. Anthem was a big hit on Headbangers Ball back in the day. I used to watch that video live from CBGB's to learn how to mosh. Fucking heavy, tight, metallic, but not as metallic as the last one. Heavier, clearer, thicker production. Then we have Live at CBGB's. One of the best hardcore records, live records, ever. Great. It has everything from the first three. The songs from Cause for Alarm sound a lot better. They sound a lot fuller. There's some overdubbing in the studio. It's pretty obvious. Great stage banter. Do you want to see the band or do you want to see the bouncers? I mentioned that before. A lot of you guys better stop fucking around or you're not going to live to see tomorrow, I think is what the guy said. The bouncer said something along those lines. Roger on the back. Rocking the Slapshot shirt. Fucking great, important vicious fucking hardcore record. Feel the energy fucking pouring out of it. One of the first things I ever got into. Then, going back to Radio Raheem, this is pre-United Blood 7-inch recordings. Fucking a lot of songs on this. 2 different Don Fury recordings from 1983 and 1984, respectively. And like the Abused reissue, we have this massive fucking booklet that's just like, sit down with this, cup of coffee, you know, read about all this shit. Roger was great about holding on to all this stuff for years for the purposes of, you know, maybe someday people wanted to reissue that. And somebody did. Radio Raheem. Great. Tons and tons and tons of flyers. Lots of history. Lots of great fucking pictures. I mean, if this was a, you know, a hardbound book, I would probably buy it. Just fucking awesome. Sounds great. A lot of this stuff was on a CD back in the day called Raw Unleashed. That was not of the best quality. So having a nice vinyl version of this, nice thick vinyl's fucking rad. Aggressive Response from Albany. Moving out of AF territory. Fucking great band. Some of my favorite people from that area are in this band. People I've known for years. It's ripping fucking New York hardcore. It's mostly fast. Bears a lot of similarities to AF and Sheer Terror, but it's got more of a, I don't know, just a pissed kind of early 80s thrashy kind of thing to it as well. Came out on Wax Deli Records. And it's on a marbled purplish. There's the center labels. Singer Jay there. These banners are from the original Albany style comp. Old compilation that came out. If you're in Albany, go to Bourbon and Wolf's if you're vegan. The guitarist, Joey, friend of mine, runs a really nice vegan deli there. If you're into vegan eats in Albany. Got some Amebix records. There's a reissue on Alternate Tentacles. Came with a bonus 7-inch. Amebix had a sound unto their own. They were kind of like crusty dudes that sort of sounded like Venom a little bit, maybe intentionally, maybe not. Sort of galloping, dark, plotting, tribal stuff. I mean, they're legendary. You know, if you're into like metal or hardcore, you've probably at least heard them. But they created a certain vibe, a certain atmosphere like no other, rivaling a lot of metal bands as far as just being intense and brooding and dark, pretty much kicking the shit out of them. This is No Sanctuary. Spider Leg recordings. This is earlier recordings than Arise. This also came out on Alternative Tentacles as a re-release. This stuff was also very dark, but the earlier stuff's a little less metallic and a little bit more Killing Joke kind of punk. Sometimes I prefer this stuff more than anything else. Really cool. This came with a bonus 7-inch. No Sanctuary. Great song. Classic bat there. You know, it's got the AT bat on the other side. Anyway, Power Remains. This is a Scald release. It's got a studio side and a live side, kind of an odds and ends sort of thing. Power Remains is one of the best, just triumphant, galloping fucking Amebix songs. Really fucking great. Live side, take it or leave it, really. Cool insert. Always the artwork and the aesthetic was great, sparse, dark, apocalyptic. After the bomb. human tribes fighting for food kind of thing going on, as was the music. And that's it. That's it. I got aim on duel. I'm not going to get into that right now. So if you sat through this and all my flibbing and flubbing, thank you. Yeah, that's it. Later.